If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
I want to say thank you and keep doing your thing because this is only the beginning.
What's up, everybody? You are now listening to the Success Playbook Podcast, where we talk about pop culture, life and career success, and of course, we're going to talk about who got dunked on the night before. I'm your host, Chanel S. Reynolds, and I've been in the sports industry for several years. My goal is to take what I've learned from years of dominating the sports industry as a Black woman to help my listeners defy the odds and level up in life and career. Now, let's dig into this week's episode. Today, I am so excited to have a very special guest here. Not a stranger, definitely a friend of the podcast, personal friend. We went to Delaware State University together. From there, we've just been vibing ever since. Mike Sane, what is up?
Chanel, what's going on? I'm doing good. But how are you doing?
I am blessed and highly favored. I'm really excited to have you on the pod. You represent so many things, so I'm really excited to unpack today's conversation.
Same here. I'm glad to be on, so thank you so much. When you reached out, I said, of course, we definitely got to do it. I love what you're doing. You are a trailblazer doing a lot. So thank you for having me. And I'm ready to, give back and help out where I can.
Thank you. Well, from one trailblazer to another, because you are doing a lot too, and we're going to dig into all that. But before we dig into your background, I would love to just play a quick game with you called Rapid Fire. Are you up for the challenge?
Yes.
All right. So for those of you who may not be familiar, for some of our new listeners, I will present Mike with two different options. He is going to have to select one of the two and then explain his reasoning. Very safe, friendly, G-rated questions. All right, Mike, you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Podcasts or books?
Books.
Tell me why.
So for me, I love to read. And actually, it all depends. I really do love to read. And I like books because it's a time to be still.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a time that everybody's moving around, that everything goes so fast. You're on the go. You're always doing something, whether you're working, whether I'm traveling. But when it comes to reading, I get to just sit down and read the words. I love to take notes, so I get to analyze what I'm reading. And I really love books, how they paint a certain picture. And I feel like I get to learn a lot when it comes to reading a book. There's a lot of knowledge that comes into it. So I actually take time each morning to read. And podcasts I do enjoy whenever I'm on the go, but I do love the fact of just sometimes being still because there's too much movement going on. So when I can be still and read a book and internalize what I'm reading, I truly love it.
Love that. Love that answer. Okay. Next question. Were you a Black 90s sitcom fan?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right. So this is a tough one. Martin or Fresh Prince?
That is a tough one. It is because you have Martin for comedy, then you have Fresh Prince for the family dynamic along with the comedy. But if it had to be one or the other, that's a tough one. I'm gonna lean on Martin.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I'm gonna, and I love the Fresh Prince, but I'm gonna leave on Martin because it's laughs for days. That's gonna have me laughing for days, and you still get a good mix of both. I think Martin was insecure, but during the '90s, like kind of what with Issa Rae made, sort of in a way, not exactly the same, but he had that dynamic of a relationship of people that I want to say maybe they were in their 20s or 30s during the time of that show.
Mm-hmm.
Life. So, but I definitely would say Martin, even though it's a tough answer.
It is a tough answer, but I think you answered it well. Because I would have said the same thing.
Okay.
Isn't it hard to believe that on those shows, like they were portraying the ages that we are, like even a little bit younger?
That's what I said. Right. So like, I mean, and Fresh Prince was good because, that was a little bit more high school than they grew up more. But Martin into that adult realm. So that's why I would say I would probably lean towards Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah, those shows are a definite classic. I'm
Uh-huh.
still I'm still looking for that next comedy. There are some that's there, but I'm still waiting to have
Yeah.
that type of Martin like comedy there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there will ever be, but look, here's the thing though, and people might fight me on this. So Lil Rel, the comedian, had a show. It was on for one season, and I guess they were testing it out. I don't think it got picked up for a second season, but I saw so many elements of Martin in that show. Like I told him, I said, yo, when I saw him at the ESPYs, I said, I put your show up there with Martin.
Really?
Yeah, you got to tune into it and tell me what you think. It's on Hulu.
Got it. What's the name of that show? Do you remember?
It's called The Rel Show.
The Rel Show? Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely have to check that out because and that happens at times when shows they only get one season that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Whatever the decision might be of why they canceled it. But sometimes those really be the ones. So hopefully
yes,
the network picks it back up because if it is what you're saying, then that means the people need it.
It's comedic genius. Okay, last question. For this current chapter of your life, what is your theme song?
Ooh, now that's a good one. For this current chapter of my life, what is my theme song? Ooh. That's a good one. I haven't thought about that. What is my theme song? Okay, so for this current chapter of my life.
Or what's this chapter of your life called?
This chapter of my life is called Breakthrough.
Mm.
So I will call this chapter I will call this chapter Breakthrough because I would say a lot of things that's been going on throughout my life. I feel like this is the season that I break through a lot of. I break through a lot of things, whether it's personally, whether it's financially, spiritually, or whether it's career-wise. I see a breakthrough coming, and I still want to answer the song one, but I'm trying to think like, wow, do I go spiritual? Do I go street? Go R&B? I'm like, that's actually a good one, and I'm actually bad with names of songs too, so that's why I'm like, that stumbled me. But I would say that this chapter, I would say this is the breakthrough, just the way God's been moving within my life, just certain things happening, just seeing the growth throughout the years that I would call this the breakthrough chapter. I actually looked back. I moved. I looked back at my old place and I looked at on my wall. I used to have these sticky notes, and pretty much I wrote down goals. And goals that I wrote. This was back in 2014, 15. I looked at goals of buying a house, of becoming a sports agent, of doing certain things that I had done or am currently doing. So, and I was just getting the rest of my stuff the other day because I still had the place. And I'm like, wow, I achieved a lot of these things that I was aspiring to do during that time. But I would definitely call this the breakthrough, especially the breakthrough.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And listen, I'm definitely proud of you with the house and the agency. Before we dig into the agency, I love the idea. Actually, let's start with this. Tell me about your childhood. Who is Mike the Sane?
Tell you about my childhood. Who is Mike? Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? Okay, I'm from.
Who were you raised by? Because I love your mom, so we're gonna give her a shout out. All the things.
For sure. So I'm from the Bronx, New York. So Michael D. Sane. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I grew up there. I moved out to Jersey when I was in 7th grade. Was out there from 7th grade to high school. My mother, Narita Moncrief now. A lot of people may know her as Narita Love, but my mother is Narita Moncrief. She raised me along with my dad. My parents weren't together, but I was raised by both of them. Raised in two loving homes. So grew up there. So really, I was just growing up. I was a kid that loved sports. I love to have fun, but really grew up loving sports, loving to play sports. That was one of the things I was extremely passionate about. And I always had a passion with business as well. So it's funny. I always had a passion in sports, but I always had a passion in business. My dad and I, we used to watch this show called The Apprentice. That's what I must say. What's the name of the show? It's like The Apprentice, the one.
Everybody loves McDonald's fries. So yes, you accused your mom of stealing some of your fries on the way home. But the bag did feel a little light. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Donald Trump had years ago. We used to watch that, and I always liked the business aspect of the show. Not the firing part. Remember how it said you're fired. So not that part, but I did like the creativeness and just the craftsmanship that it came to running a business and all the things that was inside of it. So just growing up, loving sports, loving business. Both of my parents, they supported me with everything that I was doing. And after high school, went to Delaware State University. Of course, you and I met there. I was a marketing major. Then I went on to get my master's in sports administration. But before that, also joined a fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the best fraternity. I also joined that. From there, after grad school, went to go work for the New York State Boxing Commission. I was the event coordinator. I handled all the medicals and licensing for each boxing match in the state of New York. So a lot of the behind the scenes work, Madison Square Garden, Barclays Center, making sure fighters' medicals were up to date, making sure that the boxers were licensed, trainers were licensed, and just making sure that things ran correctly for the fight. All the behind the scenes work for those fights I did. And after that, speaking with my mentors, people that know me, they know that I love to help out people. I would say I get that from my mother. Growing up, my mom growing up, she still does it now. My mom is a very caring person. She always helped out people all the time, to the point where I didn't like it that much when I was younger, because she would drop off about 3 or 4 people home, and this is when we finished church, and I'm like, we're getting home last, and we had the minivan. That's why it was 3 or 4. It's like, well, how
so y'all was no, hold on, because Prophetess was doing the good Lord's work and dropping people off after service, and you was up there mad because y'all was the last ones getting home.
Because if you grew up like I did, there was 2 services. So it wasn't like, I dropped them off after the first service. There was 2 services. So I'm like, bro, I'm trying to get home and watch some cartoons. I'm trying to. So I was, but fast forward, I became that same like person who has a very given heart doing the same thing, and I think that's what really propelled me to want to work in sports, to become a sports agent, to really want to help out people. That caring heart and that caring nature, I believe, really came from my mother. So that's what really propelled me, along with seeing different things in the sports industry that was disheartening for me, as far as the rates of athletes going or in financial hardship, or just not having the right type of representation or wise counsel around them. So that's what pushed me to be a sports agent.
Love that. So your background of basically your parents, their spirit of service, their spirit of love, their spirit of care, and always wanting to help people kind of was poured into you, and it made you want to do the same thing, but, on the sports side for athletes.
Yes. And
I love that.
Yep. And that's why my passion was sports, but I see how, like you said, that background, that nurturing of what they gave me, how it kind of mixed together with the things that I was into.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Did you always have a love for sports?
Yes. Even when I was younger, I'm not even sure where it came from. Like, I can't pinpoint like, I seen this or somebody took me. All I know is that, but it was always since I was young, like 2-3 years old type of young. It was because I knew in kindergarten I was one of them kids that loved sports then. So it was always, I think I seen a basketball and I fell in love. Basketball is actually my first love. Even though I was in the NFL, as an agent. Basketball was my first love growing up in like New York. Basketball is big. So that was my first love. Then later on, I fell in love with football as well, just seeing it. And I really started to love the business side of it. But, I've always loved sports from a very young age. I also played in high school basketball and football. God did not bless me with the talents to play at the next level, so I knew that that there was a cap there. So I knew there was a cap when it came to my talents. I wasn't the best player that was on the team, but I was pretty good. I could still, handle my own and play my role. But I knew that I wasn't gonna go pro as far as playing. But in my high school, we did have this business program that I was a part of, and somebody came to speak to us. He said he worked with on the commercials for Michael Jordan, and he did a lot of the behind the scenes work. And he came in to speak to us to one of our classes, and he showed us some videos and different things that he did. And that's the first time that I said I wanted to work in sports. I don't remember what year it was in high school. I don't think it was freshman year. It might have been between sophomore and senior year. But I remember somebody came in, don't remember his name exactly, but he said he worked with Michael Jordan, spoke to our class, showed us a bunch of videos, and that made me say, I can see myself doing that. Because I knew I wasn't going to play, but as far as working, and I thought more on the marketing side, not the representation side. So the service came a bit later, but I knew as far as sports, I see myself being able to be on the marketing and branding side.
That's so dope. Okay, so with that said, though, we're going to go ahead and pivot into this next segment of the show, which is called Put Some Respect on My Name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to walk us through some of your career highlights. And the first one I actually want to start with is one of your bigger wins from this past year, in which you've signed the first high school athlete to a Jordan brand deal. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Kiyomi McMiller, we signed her as a client. Then later on, we negotiated the Jordan brand deal. So Kiyomi's the first high school athlete to sign with Jordan brand, a name, image, and likeness deal, which is NIL. And that was pretty good. And it was extremely monumental on so many levels. One, it's a true one. I got to give her props because we did the work, but that doesn't. When it comes to being a sports agent, so the athlete, they're the ones that do a tremendous amount of work to get any type of brand or endorsement deals.
Yeah.
It's our expertise to facilitate and to negotiate and to make sure that our client is not being taken advantage of, but also that they're able to get the fullness of the deal. But that deal does not come if it wasn't for her. So I'll say that first. And what's even more important is that Jordan's first high school athlete was a woman. So, as far as Jordan, so it could have been, there's a lot of males out there that play sports, whether it's football, basketball. There's a lot of ones that are very good. But the fact that a woman is the first, I thought that was pretty, that was pretty good. Excuse me. I thought that was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
And, my team and I, we worked really hard. It was countless hours, staying up, coming up with different ideas, different ways just to be creative. And I'm truly happy that we was able to get that done. And I believe that she's happy with the deal. So that was pretty good.
That's what's up. And I feel like it's like a full circle moment because you signed, again, this was a historic event. You signed the first high school athlete to Jordan brand. The whole reason that you wanted to get into sport was because you heard this person talking about how he worked for Michael Jordan and you heard his story. So it feels like a full circle moment. Am I the only one seeing this?
No.
Okay.
I mean, a full circle moment. I got a picture when I was younger. I had a Michael Jordan poster, the life-size 6'6" poster inside my room. It was him in the Bulls uniform, and I used to have it inside my room. So a full circle moment, we could go back to 1996, 97. Don't want to age myself too much, but we could go back to the 90s when I had the picture as a little kid. But now that you say it, I didn't really even think about it from a high school to now. So yeah, so like yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Okay. All right. So that was one major thing. Well, let's kind of start backwards. Let's go backwards a little bit. You established a whole sports agency, Divine Sports. Tell us about that.
Yes. Well, before Divine Sports, I got in. I worked with another company. I was with them for 3.5 years. So got licensed, learned the business of sports. Was really grateful to have the opportunity to work with them and to really learn. But I knew as a person, for myself and for the things that I wanted to do with players, for myself to grow, but also to have the impact on players. That I needed to do it in a different space, that I was going to need my own lane to like do that. So I co-founded Divine Sports with Ryan Williams. So he's my business partner. Ryan and I met at the Combine. He's also my fraternity brother and a good friend. Ryan and I met at the Combine with the bros. We are networking and fellowshipping. And it's not at that moment that we knew we were going to work together. Years actually passed by. He's working with the Giants and everything. And years passed by, and his contract was up. And I was praying a lot during this time. There was a lot of things going on between the pandemic, between the unlawful killings with people that's in our community. A lot of those things were affected me big, and I knew that I wanted to make change throughout the community with what I'm doing as far as my purpose, calling. So I knew that I had to pivot, that I had to make a change and shift. So I was speaking to Ryan. Ryan was looking to make a change as well, and then that's when we decided to come together to form Divine Sports. And really, one thing, you and I, we're big on faith, so we're both children of God. And I wanted to make sure that we're giving back when it comes to the work that we're doing and that we're putting God first. And that's why we have the name Divine. So
love that.
Look in the Bible. I'm looking, and that word just kept popping out. I was trying to think of a name. There's so many catchy names that you could really come up with. But I wanted one that has significance. I wanted a name that had meaning. And divine has meaning to be like God. It means to be excellent. And that's the standard that we have for the agency, for the players that we work with, that we do. So fast forward, Ryan and I, we get together, we do a lot of planning, and we say, okay, let's truly build something special that's for players where they're represented the proper way. I've seen where players were being misrepresented throughout the space, just looking around and seeing where players are not truly maximizing the opportunity. These are professional athletes that have a unique opportunity as a pro to really make life changing, to be life changing for their family and for their community. So when it came to like Divine Sports, we wanted to make sure that we did that. So building a foundation where the athletes that we represent could truly be represented, and also that they know that these are people, that these are men that truly care about them, that have been in their shoes as far as being a Black man, that come from a similar community as them, but also that has the expertise to make sure they're getting what they truly need.
Why is it important, and you touched on this a little, why is it important for athletes to get some of that guidance from other Black men?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And it's important because they need to understand and know that there's people that look like them that understand their struggle. So they understand. So you're an athlete. I think I heard Marshawn Lynch speak on a podcast. He was talking to Shannon Sharp, and he said that how he was getting pulled over when he was playing in Buffalo. So he's a professional athlete that got drafted. He's playing on a professional team, but yet he's getting pulled over. He said he was getting pulled over inside of the facility still. Like he was still on the premises of the Buffalo Bills, and he was getting pulled over by the cops. And when you ask, why is it important as far as the guidance? Because we know that feeling. So we know the feeling of a cop car pulling up to you, then being nervous, or being judged, or being like, or being labeled. And we also know, as far as you having to work 10 times as harder to get certain things, and not to make every single thing about race, but to also let them know, like, this is the reality. So it's not, let's make this about race, but these are the facts. This is the truth.
And race is a huge factor.
100%. So whether we want to be blind to it or not, that this is real. So we want to, make sure that they're aware of it. But also just to let them know that they have brothers, they have cousins, they have family members, and we want to show them that, hey, there's people that look like you that can do this type of work. So besides that, for them to be inspired and know, like, that one, they could work with people that look like them. There's also they can have friends and family that can do the same thing. Because a lot of times throughout our community, I believe exposure is the biggest thing. Exposed to certain things in life that change the trajectory of my life. So if we can expose the athletes and players that we're working with, then they can see, like, okay, there are people that look like them that can do the same exact job, or if not better, for them.
Love that. I love that. And that was such a great answer. Because I asked that because it is important. It's important for, number one, athletes to see people like you, because they know that for the most part, you all have their best interest. And number two, you can identify with them and their background, their struggles. And not even like not only their struggles, but also like their genetic makeup as Black men. Like you said, we have PTSD when it comes to experiencing encounters with the police. Not everybody will be able to understand that, right? So yeah, I think it's highly important. And I think you and Ryan are both doing great work through Divine Sports Agency. So I'm really excited and I'm proud of you all.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course. So let's pivot into some of your core philosophies, right? So I know we talked a little bit about faith and the importance of knowing your purpose and the pursuit of purpose. Tell us about how faith and purpose plays a part in the creation of Divine Sports Agency.
Yeah, that's a great like question. And faith plays a major part. Faith is the core part. That is the core, because without faith, without having faith, we would not be here today. And truly for us, Ryan, we share spiritual backgrounds. And I grew up inside the church. My mom is a pastor. So I grew up inside the church. My father played the piano for his church growing up. And so I grew up around the church. And I contribute faith to it because there are a lot of struggles that come with running a business. There are a lot of struggles that come with being a professional, with having a career. And certain times you don't know what you're going to do. You don't know how you're going to get past that roadblock. You might not even see the light that's at the end of the tunnel, but you know that with faith, you have the optimism because you don't hope it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
You know it's going to happen.
Correct. So that us through those tough times when you hear the no's, when there's setbacks, when there are people when there are people that decide not to work with you for reasons that you don't understand, where you meet the requirements, when you go above and then beyond. So faith pushes us through the obstacles where you may want to give up because I will say this is an extremely tough business. Less than 1% of the population in the U.S. plays professional sports.
Yeah.
So being a sports agent, you have to represent that less than 1%. So as competitive as it is to become a professional athlete, that same competitiveness comes when representing the athlete. So we have to go through an extreme a lot. And then sometimes even once we do that, now we have to fight to be respected and, where we think that we can do the job, because just because you're licensed or credentialed, just because you have degrees, people could still question the work that you do. So faith plays a major role, reading the Bible, leaning on God, because there's things in well, the Bible can help you get through everything in life. It's a guidebook.
Yeah.
You could navigate business through the like Bible. You have to understand how to pick it out. But and that's where it plays a big role. So there are times Ryan would send me a scripture. And then I'm like, okay, let me.
What's up, everyone? Stacey Ike here from the Human to Human podcast and Recovering Perfectionist. If you're looking to explore your interpersonal relationships, have a safe space to reflect without shame, and deep dive into the many layers of being human, then come hang out with me on the Human to Human podcast, where I go deep with your favorite celebrities, tastemakers, and thought leaders. Be sure to check out and subscribe to Human to Human with Stacey Ike. That's the number 2, not the word 2, brought to you by the Revolt Podcast Network. I'll see you there.
Go read this, and then I see how that translates to what we're going through when it comes to. So it plays a major role. Major.
Yeah. I love every part of that. Okay. So faith in business, 100% agreed. Outside of business, outside of running a sports agency, you're also a speaker, and you've dedicated a large portion of your life into pouring out into others through speaking. So, I'd love to hear about like how your faith journey has taken you into the role of speaking and has allowed you to overcome certain personal obstacles that you've had.
Yes. So that's pretty interesting, because I've never seen myself as a speaker. So many people that know me know I grew up with a speech impediment where I stutter. So I don't want to say I wasn't confident speaking, or maybe I did lack confidence, but I wasn't afraid where I won't speak, but I probably wouldn't do it as much. So I did seek out help to make what may be perceived as a weakness a strength. And a lot of people would tell me, it would be mainly friends. So sometimes it's hard to take it because you think your friends are always going to support you. But a lot of my friends would say, man, you should be a public speaker like. Or I had someone tell me that I should be a preacher now. I'm not too sure when it comes to that, because people always say that. But I would have people tell me, certain friends, like, hey, you should do motivational speaking. You should do public speaking. Like, you have you have good knowledge, and you also inspire people. And I never really thought about that. But listening to their words and just tapping into the word, I learned like, okay, maybe I do have a voice that needs to be heard. And then I go and read the scripture, then you read the story when it comes to Moses. And Moses had impediment, but yet God called him to do something great. And that, that really stood out to me extreme, because like I said, if you have something going on, you can read in the Bible where there's a specific scripture, there's a specific part that can help you with that. So reading that book and understanding what God was able to do with Moses, I realized that can be done with me as well. So I've been able to speak in universities. I spoke at Rock Nation School of Music, Sports, and Entertainment. I spoke at a few high schools as well within the Bronx. I spoke at a high school in D.C. So I'm grateful to be able to pour back to students, to pour back into people. So the same way where I was inspired by somebody that came out to speak, that I could do that for somebody else, because I really want to push the community forward.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Like how you've kind of, you took that, number one, and then you owned it. And I mean, of course you got help to kind of help you navigate and maneuver through. But like at the end of the day, you didn't let that stop you. No. So I'm here for it.
No, and that's one of the things that I always tell people, because I could have taken a job, or I could have done something where I'm not speaking that much, where I'm pretty much low key or don't have to speak that much. But if there's something that you're afraid of, if there's something that scares you, go out and do it, because that's what you're called to do. And I heard a preacher, preach about that, saying the things that irritates you, then that's probably where you're called to be. So the sports and the education space, not as far as teaching, but as far as giving back, those are the ones that really stood out to me that I think about a lot. So I'm glad to be able to like truly do that.
That's awesome. Well, let's pivot into, I love using this as an opportunity to offer career advice to those who may be listening to my podcast, right? So listening, we have like aspiring sport professionals, aspiring agents, all the things. So I know that time management is something that you've pretty much mastered. So I would love to hear a little bit more about some advice that you have for our audience as it relates to time management.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Excuse me. And one of the things is you hear a lot of people say that there's not enough time in a day. It's like, man, I want more time, but there truly is. There truly is. There's 24 hours in a day, and how are you utilizing that time? And I would say I learned this from my dad. Staying with my dad, I would realize my dad would be up at 5 a.m. And I'm a little bit of a light sleeper. Sometimes could be a heavy sleeper. Depends if I'm up late. But somehow I will wake up maybe 6 or so in the morning, and I see my dad is dressed and he's walking around doing stuff. And I'm like, man, this guy's up pretty early. So one day, my dad, like, why do you get up so early? I don't know if I was in middle school or high school at this time, but he told me that the earlier that he wakes up, that he's able to get more done. And he was able to, he said, look, I have to get you and your brothers ready for school. And I have three younger brothers. So that's 4 boys to get ready for school. That is not easy because we all sleep in and we all do not want to get up. So he said, if he's not up and if he don't have his stuff done, then if he's trying to do that while getting us ready, it's going to be too much going on. So he told me about how you can maximize your day by waking up before you start to engage the rest of the world. So that's something I'm starting to do with myself. So waking up at 5 a.m. because if I'm not engaged with the world till 8, that's 3 hours that I could get things done. Whether that's spiritual and devotional reading, whether that's working out, whether that's just meditating, whatever it is you need to do, you could get a certain amount of things done before you actually start the work day. Because when it starts, depending on what you're doing, then there's a whole lot of chaos. You're responding to emails, you're working, you don't really have much time for yourself. But then also limiting the things that you do when you're done working. So how are you utilizing that time as well? So, but just to get back to your question, as far as time management, some of the best things that I've done is have a planner. So I've had a planner over the past 7 years where I plan out the week. I plan out my weeks on Sundays. I read that was pretty good. So you want to write down all the things that you need to accomplish or that you want to accomplish for the week. And then you prioritize. What is priority? What is something that I need to do or that I must do first? And how long will it take? Certain times we may try to put off the things that are difficult and try to do the things that are easy and check it off because you get some gratification, which is good. You get that gratification of getting something done, but then you're pushing back something that's going to bring you the most value. So having a planner, planning out your weeks in ahead, also planning out the year in ahead, but before you even get to that, planning out the weeks so that way your week is very intentional. Your day is intentional. So your time. Then that way, when your days are going, you realize when you're wasting time, whether it's scrolling on Instagram, if it's watching TV, if you have your day mapped out. Some people have it to each hour. I don't know if everybody's able to do it that strict, but if you're able to map out blocks of times that you want to do something, and then you have your block of time for rest and for relaxation because you do need that, then I think you're able to be more productive and get more done. And then that's going to help you achieve more of your goals because your productivity is increasing. And that's what you truly need.
Yeah, I think that's huge. You just gave everyone a lot of game because I live by my planner, like 1000%. If it's not in my calendar, it's not a real thing. It doesn't exist, and it's probably an event I won't show up to. So yes, 100%.
Definitely. And people could do it both ways because I have my planner, the one that's written. I also have my calendar in my phone. That's for that's for most of the meetings, not exactly the to-do list, but the meetings I need. So that way I know, like you said, if it's not there, then I probably don't know that it's going on. But
Yes.
you want to have both. That way you're physically
Yep.
writing it down because that's muscle memory, that's memorization because you're writing it down. But then also having things inside your phone as far as meetings and important events or things that's happening because you're on your phone a lot. So that's going to pop.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to pop out on your screen, and then you'll see it.
No, 1000%. Thank you for that game.
For sure.
How do you define success?
How do I define success? That's a good question. I would say success because success looks different for each person. So I would say success is being content with. I would say success is being content with knowing that you've done all you can, and being content with the results. So success to me is not going to be all of the money you have or material things, but it's truly, are you at peace? Did you do the thing?
Yeah.
Did you set out the goals? Yes. Did you set out and achieve the goals that you set to achieve? But also, are you at peace? Do you feel content? Because if you're at peace, if you're satisfied, if you're happy with that, then to me, then that success. Because a lot of times there will be goals that you might not achieve. So that don't mean that you're not successful because you didn't achieve that goal. But if you put all of your efforts to it, then that's pushing you towards being successful. Did you grow and learn along the way? So I would add growth to that as well. So are you learning? Because if you are, then more of those goals will be achieved. You are being successful and being very intentional. So being able to be content with the things that you've done, but also knowing that you gave it your all. So if you gave 50%, if you gave half of your energy and efforts to that, then I would feel unsuccessful because it's mainly on myself, not the results so much, but more on, man, I feel like I could have done more. But if I've done everything that I could have done, if I put all of the work in and then leave the rest to faith where God is going to provide, and I'm at peace with my decision and I'm at peace with what has happened, and I've grown and I've learned from it, and I'm able to actually help somebody else, then that's where I would say success lies. But I want to think of it in terms of it's only a matter of if you achieve something, which yes, that contributes to it because that's how you can, kind of not bookmark it, but you could check it off as, okay, you achieved something, but are you content? And did you keep your morals? Let me just add that. Because you could achieve something, but now if you lost your morals when it came to achieving that, now if you do something, but this goes against your values, I would want to add that as well. When it comes to success, are you living within your values? Are you living within your morals? If what you're doing aligns with your values, with your morals, and you're growing and you're content and you're at peace with it, then I would say you're successful. Or I would define success.
I love that. So education, learning, sticking to your morals. I really like that answer.
Yes,
I really like that.
It was pretty long because I had to think about it because there's different ways. Because some people, I don't want them to say, well, if you fail at every single thing that's successful, because I get how that can be taken. But I want to say values, morals, growing, but then also being content and peace with it.
Peace, yes. I like that too. What is that scripture that talks about being content in all things? I don't know the exact address, but yes.
I do not know either. But
okay. But yes, 100%. And I 1000% agree with that. So what is some maybe advice that you may not have talked about? This is our last question. In this last segment, I really want you to kind of share some advice to some of our listeners who may be pursuing a career as either an agent or just generally in the sports industry.
Yes. So if you're looking to work in sports, I would say, one, become a student of the game. become a student of the business, especially if you're looking to be a sports agent, or if you're looking to work if you're looking to work in sales, if you're looking to be a publicist, if you're looking to be a manager, if you're looking to work in diversity and inclusion, become a student of the game, because you want to learn as much as you can, because your knowledge, and when you apply that knowledge, that's how you are truly to show yourself being valuable. 2, I would say get some experience. Try to receive an internship, try to work somewhere, so that way you can work and gain experience within the field. 3, the next thing I would say is try to get a mentor. So I would say a mentor in that space, somebody that has made mistakes, somebody that knows the game, somebody that knows the ropes, somebody that you can learn from, somebody that you can lean on when you have questions, because this is a very big space. So there are a lot of things that you don't know. So having somebody to provide that guidance, to provide that wisdom, would be key. And then I would say also to network. You have to go out there and put yourself out. Get out of your comfort zone. If you're an introvert, I get it, because I would rather not be around as many people. But I'm also not going to grow if I'm not within those spaces. So network and build relationships. So not only network, because those are more of the events that you go into and putting yourself out there, but also build relationships, because this is a business. And it's bigger than just transactional. When you truly build relationships, when you're truly looking to help out people with no strings attached, where it's like, hey, there are people that I help out all of the time where I'm not looking for something that's in return, you will be blessed. So I would say build really relationships, and also to make sure that you're going into it for the right reasons. You have to be genuine, because if you're in it for the right reasons, people will see it. So be genuine. If it's something that you're truly passionate about, if it's something that you're called to do, or if you feel that you're called to do, then I would say jump within that space. So if you're looking to work in sports, if you're looking to be a sports agent, I would say 1 is to be a student of the game. So to educate yourself on the business side of what you're looking to do. Next, I would say is to get an internship, to get some experience working within sports. After that, I would say look for a mentor within a space. You want to be able to seek guidance. You want to have mentorship. Then I would say also to network, attend events, attend networking events within sports, and build relationships, because those will be key. That will take you down the way. Because when Chanel is an owner of an NFL team, I'm going to say, oh, yeah, we went to college together. We have a great relationship. So you want to have a good relationship. So when she's the owner of an NFL team, I'm saying, hey, Chanel, I'm trying to get my guy on the team. Can you look at him? No. But speaking to existence,
listen.
We gotta speak it to existence.
Come on. Listen. So, I mean, you just gave the people $1 million worth of game, and I don't want none of this to go over their heads. I hope they wrote down everything you said. If not, I need everyone to press rewind, grab a pen and a piece of paper, and write through 1 through 5, everything that Mike just said, right? So number 1, it is so important for you all to continue to be a student of the game. People always ask me, Chanel, you always at a conference. That's because I am always getting impartation into myself, right? And I'm not just limiting it to just my industry. I am listening to the greatest of the greats when it comes to DEI and social justice, like the Ben Crumps and the Angela Rye. I am in these spaces. There is currently nobody that can outdo me in the building that I work in my specific profession, because I make sure that I'm a student of the game. And I say that humbly. Secondly, when it comes to internships, I feel like everybody is so focused on wanting to work for these major teams, right? These front office teams. And that's great. But Mike, you offer internships, right?
Correct. Yep. We've done a number of cycles. Yes.
So yes, link up with Mike, apply, get on the team. It's so much that you can learn from him and Ryan and the rest of the interns there. It's so many opportunities here. So those are the 2 things I really wanted to harp on. Of course, y'all know how I feel about networking. Y'all know how I feel about having a mentor. Y'all know how I feel about, what was the last thing you said?
Building relationships.
Relationships, 1000%, because this industry is not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So I think that's a great opportunity to end today's episode. What you think, Mike?
Yes, I truly enjoyed it. Want to definitely
Yes,
say thank you for having me.
of
Thank you,
course.
bringing me on because I love what you're doing, and I love to be able
Thank
to help
you.
out. Where if I could give some wisdom, if I could help somebody else out, and they could go on and take it, let's be great. Let's be special. Let's be game changers. You know,
Yes.
we want to move this world. We want to move the sports world and industry in a positive direction. So if this could help somebody else out, then let's do it.
Listen, thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you for having me. And I want to give you your like flowers, Chanel. You're doing something great. You are truly awesome, and people that are following her, you all that are following her, just know that's who you should reach out to because she got $1 billion worth of a game, and you're a true testament because you've been through a lot, and you don't speak about your struggles, but I know that you've overcome a lot of things within your life. I read your book. I still need your signature on your second book. I have the first one signed, and I have the second one. It's in my bookshelf. So I'm gonna need that one signed next. But you spoke about the art of taking L's. You wrote the Success Playbook. You are doing a lot to give back, but you are truly a blessing to others. So I want you to continue to do that. So I want to say thank you and keep doing your thing because this is only the beginning.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I felt that from the heart.
For sure. So,
Yo, Prime members, so check this out. We are here to talk about our favorite thing in the world, and that is Amazon Prime.
That's right. We all have different interests, but there's one thing that brings us together: Prime.
As members ourselves, we found ways to maximize our Prime benefits to get the most out of our passions.
From fast and free shipping, streaming of movies and music, and even exclusive deals and discounts, Prime has it all.
And what's great is that you can use all of these services to elevate your hobbies and interests.
Whether you're a bookworm, a fitness fanatic, or a gaming guru, Prime has something for everyone. I promise you that.
So go ahead, explore and indulge in all that Prime has to offer. We promise you won't be disappointed.
Time to get more out of whatever you're into. Prime. And that's that on that.